We need to get onto a fucking Bitcoin standard and quick. We need to get back to good old-fashioned family values.
Boom, we are back, yes, once again. And don't be alarmed, we are still not cancelled, but equally, we are still not sponsored. This is the bullish Bitcoin banter and bullshit brought to you by Mr. Rollin, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and surprise, surprise, she's here, but she's never here, Mrs. No Show. Still Mrs. No Show. What's going on?
Well, for those listeners who don't know who Mrs. No Show is, we actually saw Mrs. No Show last week.
We did
we went out for a steak. We all had steak, but Mrs. No Show had grilled cauliflower because she's a vegan. And she tried to make us address her by her pronouns.
Apache helicopter.
I think we only got the table based on Mrs. No Show being in attendance. Balance out the penis and fudging.
But yeah, we're all a bit shocked, aren't we? But it's weird seeing inflation in the wild, isn't it? Yeah, we've all got our favourite steaks and we go down there and we know they're pricey, but then you suddenly check it and you go, hold on, we normally go for this one, don't we? I know it was pricey. Was it that pricey? And you just go, yeah, they doubled everything. Like, everything's double now. And you just go, okay, it was a stretch for a single meal before, and now it's almost getting a little bit silly. But you just think back and you go, well, Jesus, we talk about, we've had 20% inflation for 2 years on the trot. So you go, that's pretty much, 50% overall. And you go, yeah, and we know meat is being like demonized in the world. Everything's going up. They're trying to make it harder for people that
what was it? They also wanted, was it 7.5 billion, which they wanted for Jeremy Hunt's budget, so they printed 19 billion.
Yeah.
Where did they for 12 go?
It was just a typo, and they just thought, fuck it, we'll go with it.
Yeah, seeing inflation in the world was weird for sure, because as you said, we had to make some interesting choices. Before it was, I'll have whatever, we'll probably get two of them.
Yeah, I think once one person chose that steak, it was like Domino's.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say then. Like that's how we started off. We started off going, we can't just go crazy. When you actually reflect, we still went crazy. We had the most expensive starter, most expensive steak. We had all the sides. We had some wine. It was all actually there. We were just going, we probably need to take a few things off. But then it came to it. Well, you started it, so never look. You went for the steak. We will go in. That is the boy, but the price is probably a little bit silly now. But once you said it, Mrs. No Show said it. I'm like, well, I'm not freaking sitting here with a steak half the size of you boys. I'm coming in with you. And then Dr. Evil definitely isn't sitting on his own with 3 huge steaks around him. If you'd have gone for the freaking normal sirloin or something, you would have started a different trend. But then I might have still went and slammed the porterhouse anyway, and then you'd have changed the order.
Just to whip it out.
You'd have gone, no, I'm not having a freaking sirloin when there's some porterhouses on the table.
It was it's good steak.
Oh, it's absolutely freaking sublime, It's just because that's the thing. I went out for like a steak in just a normal kind of steak restaurant, about the week before, and you go almost for like the best steak they've got, and it's still just nothing. It's still a bit gristly. There's a bit of fat in a place where it shouldn't be, and then you go where we go last week, and you go, oh, this is fucking gorgeous.
I went like the week before my local town, and the big obviously nowhere near the standard, but one of the big things was it was about a quarter of the price. I could have bought 4 steaks, and I think they were they like 12 ounces each, so I could have literally had 48 ounces of steak for the same price. with chips.
Yeah, with chips, yeah,
And a sauce.
and ketchup, yeah, and sauce, yeah.
Everything's out.
Well, viewers, please rest assured we were not spending any ad revenue money, because last week was a bumper record show with 287 views. I don't know if we hit on a specific wave, but thank you very much for watching, and hopefully some people are tuning in once again. It could have been the AI generated thumbnail, perhaps.
I was going to say it's not record.
No,
It's not record. No, it's not
We've
a
been-
record.
but we've been in the doldrums, haven't we? We've been
It's we
gone
had
virtually down to just our mates, and then suddenly, and then a load of viewers came back.
because we seem to have a bit where it's building up with to a bit of a steady, then it just went bump down, didn't it?
Yeah.
And you do wonder whether it's a picture, because I was desperately trying to get that picture of Klaus Schwab with Justin Trudeau and who is it, Macron on some leashes, but AI wasn't doing it for me. So I thought that would have been a good piece of good cover art. So maybe, well, actually, I think that would have been fitting about 2 weeks ago. Whereas I don't know what would be so fitting tonight.
Well, we should
I'm
talk
sure you-
about artwork as well, shouldn't we, Dr. Evil 10%?
Yeah, good in.
Yeah. Should do, if you just swivel your chair. There we have it.
Yeah. Display who we'd like to be sponsored by, apart from all their website, which has crypto on it as well, which appalls me when I type in Bitcoin, it comes up back with crypto responses.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, actually. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a display sponsor, even if it just gives me a bigger discount. Thinking of
Yeah, just give us a bigger discount, we'll be happy.
Yeah.
give us a discount
Okay.
code.
Discount code. We're putting it out there in the ether. Display. We would love to partner with you, but we understand you would not like to partner with us.
But
You can go to display.com/4Bs and you get 0% discount.
and you probably get this page is not being found.
And probably increase on your postage and packaging also. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
However,
That's
to
nasty
display,
fact.
we do have ESG representation.
Always.
So,
In one of
Equal
the blank
opportunities
squares
here.
below is at ESG lesbians.
who eats cauliflower steaks?
Yeah.
Man, do you know, I actually, when I was a
Probably
kid, I
all
actually
just
ordered
people
one of them
that-
once. I actually, because I didn't mind cauliflower as a kid, and I thought it was cauliflower on a steak. I actually ordered it. I was about 12 or something in a restaurant, and just a fucking big tub of fucking cauliflower turns out with some cheese on it or something. You go, the fuck is this?
Especially when you've got it imprinted in your mind, thinking this is what I'm going to get, and then it comes out as something else, and you think,
Yeah.
"Oh,
I was out with
great,
like a
thanks
mate's
for this."
family, so they didn't
Oh,
give me the heads up. They were like, "Oh, that's an interesting order." I was like, "Yeah, it is. I like my steaks," and they're like, "Okay." It was a cauliflower steak. What the fuck is this?
Ultimate disappointment. So should we get going with the agenda? So I think what's turning into a bit of a weekly update is around the ETF progress. So Bitcoin Magazine, we've linked to a tweet. It's at Justin BlackRock. Well, I was going to say it's not just in now, it's 6 days ago. But obviously, we're summarizing all the news for you, so you have to crawl through Twitter and deal with all those plebs. So BlackRock, Fidelity, Wisdom Tree, Van Eck, and Invesco spot Bitcoin ETF applications are now added to the Federal Register. So it seems like it's starting to ramp up. Has everyone just spotted BlackRock doing this and kind of have to follow suit? Otherwise, they're going to, all the kind of like money's going to go to BlackRock and they'll struggle to get their cut.
absolutely.
I mean,
I don't know what the kind of alternative will be, to kind of say, right, I'm going to go to Wisdom Tree instead of BlackRock, or Fidelity instead of Invesco. How they diversify themselves,
but
who knows?
it's literally the same if you think about it, like ETFs. So you go to the S&P, it's literally the same. You can get the S&P through free trade who I use. You can get it through Hargreaves Lansdowne, Vanguard, and they just have different slices of it. So literally will be the Vanguard S&P, will be the AJ Bell S&P. And it's literally they're doing the same thing for roughly the same fees. It's literally whoever you're with on that trading platform. So I think all those companies are just thinking, shit, I just don't want my customers to go to BlackRock, because once they go over there, we know it's going to be at least 3-5 years until they look for their next ISA or whatever kind of like investment account. So it's that lost revenue, and they just want to have that on the offer. What part of my order board is this?
Yeah, and the ridiculous thing is that everyone virtually knows that every ETF applied for before BlackRock is likely going to get rejected, but everyone after BlackRock is likely to get accepted, because they're not going to be able to say yes to BlackRock and then no to these other ones, which are going to be not materially different. So that's what's happening. And to be fair, what looks like happening here is that all these people rushed to file once they saw BlackRock file, and they've all been added to this Federal Register, which suggests that they're being looked at seriously. They're getting in line for an approval, which, like we said, it's going to be hugely bullish. I think long term, it's not going to matter. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with.
Do you think they'll have like a crypto ETF on the back of this? So it'll be.
Well,
I'm kind of like thinking like S&P is a selection of the market. People go, oh, I don't want to have purely Bitcoin. I want to have F. I want to have SHIB. I want to have Doge. I want to have Cardano or whatever else hasn't gone down the toilet yet. And I want to have all these like merged into a single block.
Yeah, they might do. Yeah, the problem they're going to have with that kind of stuff is obviously they know they're shit coins. So even though you can weirdly the exchanges did these ETF type things. I don't know if you remember, but Coinbase I think they used to do one, but then it just failed so badly compared to Bitcoin they had to discontinue it. But they put a bag of coins together, but it just underperformed, so they had to discontinue it because people weren't buying it because it underperformed just buying Bitcoin. Because of course it will.
It was one of our aims to put together a bag of shit coins, wasn't it? At the start of the pod is like buy the 4Bs pot of shit coins. It was a bit of a novelty when they've all dead. You can have this little pot. I think we used to cover one a week or so. We come across some right shit like Dink Doink, which looked like basically like South Park animation, where you can have a currency, well, not a currency, a crypto coin based around it, and God knows what else. But yeah, I think there's going to be lots of us, because I think F hasn't gone away yet. I thought it would have died by now. Albeit I sent a clip into the group, which I was hoping would make it to the agenda, and it was what's his name? I always forget how to pronounce it. Vitalik,
yeah, Vitalik,
whatever. And he's explaining how he paid for a cup of coffee. But then with paying for this cup of coffee, he didn't have compatibility with this person's wallet. So this is like the founder of F, who didn't have compatibility with the this wallet, which was through Binance. And then it took so long, he sent another payment, so he ended up double tipping, basically tipping them 100%. I think there's another issue of it. So also we had speed compatibility. And also the fee for sending it is something like $1 to actually send the transaction. And it's just like a clusterfuck. I was sitting there kind of going, can't believe he's actually explaining how this happened and how bad the experience was.
I know. It's almost funny when people try and compete with Bitcoin as money, right? I almost get it when shitcoins go off and pretend to be a different use case. Say it's JPEGs on the blockchain, or it's some type of game. It's Uber, but on the blockchain. It's all these other types of use case. You go, okay, well, at least you don't have to prove it yet, because you're going, oh, we need to get market adoption. We need to build out the product. But always a danger when these ETH heads, because they have no other use case, right? They were supposed to be, what was it? It was the computer of the world to begin with.
It's the internet of everything.
Yeah.
But it's, as I explained to someone who was a bit of a shitcoiner and Bitcoiner, now a Bitcoiner, pure Bitcoiner, was it's literally the internet. It's nothing. Like they're trying to be everything, but they're nothing.
It's branding, right? He keeps pivoting. He's a brilliant. The one thing Vitalik is definitely brilliant at is marketing, because just about every use case he has ever listed for ETH, he has failed at delivering. Yet he pivots from the previous iteration to a new iteration, and seemingly the same group of people continue to follow him and believe that now he's right. He was wrong before, but they don't even acknowledge he was wrong. It's just, it's early, it's hard, it's iterating. This guy's a genius. We just need to keep believing. And it's bizarre. It's the longest, because he must have pivoted at least 5 times. It didn't deliver even slightly on the previous 4. And I think he's 0 for 5 now. Even the Web 3.0, decentralized metaverse thing, that's all just gone, right? That's all just on fire. So I think he's thinking up what number 6 is going to be. And I just know the same morons are going to go and buy some ETH off the back of that. And you go, the guy's 0-5. Like, what makes you think that number 6 is going to work?
I mean, I don't really pay that much attention to Ethereum, apart from when things like that come from people I follow. But the whole thing about moving to proof of stake was around speed, wasn't it? They thought it'd speed it up, but it doesn't seem to have done anything.
I don't think that's because they still haven't. Again, I have no clue whether they have, but there was the whole ETH 2.0 thing, and I don't think they're on that yet. So I think they moved to proof of stake, but there's still the bulk of the code is still on the old stuff, so they don't get any of the efficiency gains yet. But that's why the whole theory was they can't do it. They're going to break it. There's so many moving parts. It's such an amorphous spaghetti code load of bollocks where there's so many different shitcoins and applications now that all largely don't work anyway, but they're dependent on it, right? You've got so much back compatibility. When you rewrite your entire code base and launch a 2.0, those compatibilities and all the tools that have been around it, all the wallets, all the hardware wallets, all these different games, these DeFi bollocks, you have to make sure you don't break any of that. It's nearly impossible to do that. And that it'd be virtually impossible if you're competent and had proper organization. They're not competent and have no organization. So which is why I don't think they will ever launch this 2.0 version, because they know it will literally just, at least at the moment, it works as a token generator, and you can buy ETH and you can sell ETH, and you can send transactions on that blockchain. But if they move to this new version, it literally might not even do that, and that really does mean that the emperor has no clothes. It really is, the scam is completely exposed then. But anyway, I don't know how we got on talking about fucking ETH.
I was going to say, we're dedicating the show to ETH. When did that happen?
I'll go back and delete that 10 minutes.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, we're just talking about the ETFs and just talking about what could be other possible ones. So it's going to be interesting. But I was listening to Pedro and Matt Odell the other day. Matt Odell
I posted that, and I didn't even get round to watching it. I said it's one of those things where I said, "Oh, I need the time to sit down and listen to this." And what were your thoughts?
I don't think I got massively far through it, but he kind of echoed our thoughts, what we said. So it's good in a way for kind of like spreading the word about Bitcoin, because you're going to get people who go along that learning curve. So people who go, I'll buy some of this shitty ETF at first, and then they'll go, actually, this is shit. I'm going to buy some proper Bitcoin instead of paper. But then it's also bad because you're creating paper Bitcoin, aren't you? And it's basically, you do not own that Bitcoin. So the whole point of Bitcoin is about self-sovereignty. And it's literally destroying part of that. And it's putting it into a company which many suspect to be quite evil. So it's kind of like that risk. So it's a fairly balanced opinion. Apart from me, he was definitely swaying towards don't fucking do it. But I do kind of think it's going to get some people looking over the kind of hedge going, what's this? And they're going, oh, fancy this ETF. And they've got the ETF and they start reading about it. You know, maybe they read the white paper, maybe read the Bitcoin stuff, and they go, I get it now. They go, fuck this shitty ETF. Let's go to Coinbase and buy some proper Bitcoin. is a
Yeah.
hope.
I guess
But-
people are also sometimes very cautious as well, aren't they? So they think that it's safer to buy the ETF as opposed to going to the actual thing and kind of dip their toes in the water that way. I don't know if he'll actually listen to this program, but one of the dads at one of my son's schools messaged me and said, I know you know a lot about Bitcoin, etc. And I said about our group and how we've been doing this for nearly a decade, if not longer, looking into stocks and Bitcoin and so on. And you asked, where should I start? And he said, I'm just beginning, just starting off small, got 100 quid even. And I said, right, okay, well, start off with taking 20 of that and buying yourself the Bitcoin standard and then putting the other 80 into on Bitcoin. And, use that as solid advice. And so I thought I'd share that with the listeners. If this is the first time that you're here, and maybe make that the mantra of orange pilling people, 100 quid, 20 of it, read the Bitcoin standard, and then watch the rest in your favorite exchange.
Just looking, how much is it? Yeah, 19.95, so not a lot of change on Amazon.
No. Yeah.
But here's one, 7.99, Audible.
Correct.
But personally, I would read it myself. I think it's got a lot more impact being read, but I kind of think that some people, maybe on the way to work, maybe on the train or whatever, get an Audible, listen to it.
Yeah.
And that's $7.99 a month. You get your credit, put it on the Bitcoin standard.
Our last story of this show has got the, if you had 24 hours with me, what would you do to me? And that, I mean, that's the playthrough of like what you do with an orange pillar, right? Read the Bitcoin standard, you read the white paper, you go and sell all your stocks and you shit your cash, get some cash ready. You go into your larder, get rid of all those seed oils, pour them down the drain. They're poisoning you from the inside out. Your cash should be ready by now. Get on one of these Bitcoin only exchanges. You buy a Bitcoin, you buy your hardware wallet, you get your 24 words, you book your plane ticket to El Salvador. Max and Stacy greet you there. You live happily ever after on a Bitcoin standard. Let's fucking go.
That sounds like heaven. Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Stacy at the airport just waving to you, holding your name, got a little cocktail ready for you, off to the Bitcoin beach. Yeah.
Bit of surfing.
I was going to say you ruined the ending to the pod.
I know.
That could have actually been a happy ending to one of these pods, and it's been 104 previous ones that have been dark.
Yeah, I'm in two minds of which video to start with the pod today. It's either that one, which is upbeat and a bit funny, but I'm tempted to go for the dark one, which is the Greenpeace one.
Very awesome art. So, well,
why would we ever want to ruin our chances of being sponsored?
I was going to say, for 24-hour ones, I'll get her to do some painting and weeding. Go on, then. 24 hours. You can paint quite a lot of rooms in that time. She'd have to cut well.
I'd probably spend some of the 24 hours with our very own Kathy Wood. Give her 3 minutes and then I've got the rest of my day left.
Yeah, painting and weeding.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to Greenpeace since we mentioned that?
Let's do it.
Yeah, and I'll play the clip. because it's epic, right? That is
Yeah.
one hell of an epic video. I was playing it today with the missus, going, "This is what Greenpeace have put out," and she's watching it, going, "Oh my God, this is it's well done. Like the music is super dramatic. It's so dystopian. It's look at this bang, bang, bang. Bitcoin is so bad for the planet. It's destroying this, destroying that. It's 7.5 million cars. It's but more energy use than Sweden and all these other countries." And you go, they're just obviously all this data is out of context, misplaced. You could easily do other comparisons that are much less because straight away, obviously, the fact that over 50% of the energy usage comes from renewables and waste energy anyway. They missed that out. So straight away, all your stats have to be cut in half because.
And also, you think about all the bullshit financial houses which we've got on a fiat standard around debt, which should be cut out, which would be a hell of a lot of electricity and waste, which wouldn't. Well,
and obviously, you need to take it in perspective as well. It's like even if you switch off all the miners, Bitcoin's responsible for 0.1% of the overall energy usage.
Lower than the tumble dryers in America.
Yeah. So it's weird, isn't it? Because when you see Sweden and Finland all listed on there, you just assume in your head, well, there's 140 countries. Maybe these countries have 1 or 2% of the energy, even though it doesn't add up to 100. I think in your head, you go, if I was to be asked, like on the spot, answer in 2 seconds, like how much energy in the world does Sweden use, I might just blurt out 1%. But in reality, it's less than 0.1. I was 10x off. So, but if you throw Sweden at me and go, Bitcoin uses more energy than Sweden, it sounds a bit like, oh, Jesus, that's quite a bit.
Yeah,
You go, there's freaking 10 million people there. There's hardly any people there. They're all disparate. And Sweden doesn't use any energy. So
who's funding this campaign? Because we know the last campaign was funded by the XRP CEO.
It's the same one.
So it's still him.
Yeah, he's still funding it. Yeah, they still got their 5 million, and they're still going on it, aren't they?
Right.
Again, their artwork's great because obviously they post.
What I found interesting is that Jamie Dimon and BlackRock have only recently, kind of stepped into the Bitcoin space, but immediately they are now public enemy number one on Greenpeace, despite the fact that Jamie Dimon's comments on Bitcoin prior were like anti-Bitcoin as well. So the moment he's kind of crossed the line, they're already jumping on him and using him as the face of evil for Bitcoin.
And Larry Fink was right.
Yes.
And this is part of why I'm getting into my mindset going, this is the whole game theory playing out, right? Because if you'd have put a Michael Saylor or a Saifedean or Satoshi or a Jack Dorsey, a Jack Mallers, like Cathie Wood, if you'd have put any of them on that billboard, the majority of the masses wouldn't have a fucking clue who it was.
Yeah.
Whereas you got the head of BlackRock, which to be fair, I'm surprised because not many people know BlackRock and Vanguard are really a thing.
Correct. Really, they don't.
But Jamie Dimon, absolutely they do. He's head of the biggest bank in the world, right? JP Morgan. Those two guys, they are already known enemies of the people. So what they've done, like we are fighting against those fuckers, right? We did a whole show against BlackRock. We have slated Jamie Dimon 1 million times on this podcast. Yet somehow they've shoved those two onto our side and are going, look, this is who we're fighting against. You go, hold on. Those two could not be on the further other side of the spectrum to a Bitcoiner than you can get. But they know there's a shared hatred from the masses for banking. So they've just gone, oh, look, it's the big bankers trying to profit from you again. And they're destroying the planet. That's what Bitcoin is. And you just go, well, that's quite a clever pivot. They're remarketing us and rebranding Bitcoin as this banking coin. And then suddenly I was going, is that why BlackRock are getting an ETF and JP Morgan have got a Bitcoin product? Are they going to make these products to make themselves associated with Bitcoin so it can be demonized easier, but actually just make their products complete shit? Because it's very easy to make a product shit in finance, right? You just make the fees too high. All you got to do is on the Bitcoin ETF, go, it's 5% a year to be in. Everyone's going to go, well, fuck off. No, I'll go somewhere else. And they're like, okay. And then they never have. So they have a Bitcoin product. They're marketing it.
Yeah.
And then like stuff like this from Greenpeace works, doesn't it? Because they can
Yeah.
put Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon and make it look like
And we tried, but the world didn't really want to accept it and pressed against it. So we're pivoting against it too, and we're getting on the good side to make sure we're not on the bad. Because there's always, we've talked about war, and I think in one of our stories as well, the WWE of this whole, well, the whole universe. There's always seems to be a good and a bad side, isn't there? There could just never be facts.
Yeah, and it seems a bit sus as well, especially the fact Larry Fink was on there. This is new, right? Well, this was July 18th, right? So
July 18th, yeah.
So it came out last week. And the BlackRock ETF is only about a month old.
Yeah.
So at some point,
but they're still not official, are they? They're going through the process.
Yeah. But I mean, they've announced that they're doing the first time ever BlackRock associate themselves with Bitcoin applying for an ETF was about a month ago. So this Greenpeace marketing stuff, like they've clearly been working on this for a while, probably since that big skull that they got commissioned with the big chimneys out the top with all the smoke coming out. I'm sure they've been spending a lot of time on this latest video, but Larry Fink is in there, so that they've had to have probably. Did they know before? Did they almost have a heads up that look, we're going to apply to an ETF?
Yeah, but it's just a few.
Demonizing us now.
But it's just adding a few extra words, isn't it? So it's not a big change.
With pictures in there, with laser eyes going everywhere.
Yeah, but that's not a massive change. Again, it was the planning of actually doing it, which would have been the big thing. And actually sorting out, adding in a few little graphics, I don't think would be massive.
It depends. Like they would have spent millions on probably putting all this stuff together, and sometimes. So that they'd have to. I'd imagine that's a change, right? Like Jamie Dimon, fine. JP Morgan have been associated with Bitcoin now for probably about a year, but the fact they would just only been, it's literally a month. That feels like a last minute change to me, and someone else would have been there before.
There's a shift,
and it just seems a little bit of a coincidence. It seems like a bit like a coordinated attack. Like suddenly BlackRock come out, say we're going to do a Bitcoin ETF, and less than a month later, Greenpeace are using Larry Fink as the poster boy, as the demon of Bitcoin, and this is why we need to fight to win. Because look, BlackRock own everything. You don't want him to, like, if you own Bitcoin, you're part of BlackRock. You go, no, it's very clever to associate us with BlackRock. But yeah, but it was a great video. I loved it.
Yeah, great.
Really dramatic. Total bullshit.
You seem to have had a week of fighting eco people, haven't you? I keep on seeing posts from you on Deborah Meaden.
Oh yeah. That was a brilliant L that she took today, like the last couple of days, with that fire in Greece. Like, so it's climate change, and then 2 hours later, it was arson. And she goes, yeah, everyone dunking on me. This is still climate change because the only reason it spreads is because it's so hot. Like, Deborah, it's fucking Greece in July. It's always hot there, you fucking stupid woman. If anyone sets a fire in Greece, it's gonna spread every summer. Nothing to do with climate change. Absolute fucking numpties.
You seem to be posting against Deborah Meaden a lot at the moment, don't you?
Well, I think once you do it once, Twitter's like, shows you every tweet. It's like, do you want to do it again? You were really engaged last time, as in really fucking triggered. It's like, so I end up having to mute these people just because they show me every tweet, and I'm like, I can't reply to everyone. So I have to just delete it. Anyway,
cool. Let's go to next story, which is the US government sells another 8,200 Bitcoin, which on-chain data confirms. So when the US government seized Bitcoin from fraudsters, criminals, people selling drugs on the internet and the dark web, and all those people that kind of like you and I that use Bitcoin, allegedly, they've then gone on to sell it, and it'd be interesting to know where those proceeds go. In my mind,
what do you mean? Where the proceeds go?
Yeah, when they sell it, where are the proceeds going?
But it's literally nothing. It's literally chicken feed for them. What was it? They've sold What's the number?
8,200.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be some like $246 million or something like that.
Yeah. What's that like?
So,
That's 1 hour in Ukraine.
yeah, so I'm literally like, I'm kind of going, we're selling it and and it's just like, what are we going to do with that? Biden will buy some more ice creams. It does,
Yeah.
it doesn't even make a dent in their imaginary debt.
No.
So I feel
That'll
like
be like their champagne for the Christmas party.
Mm.
it'd be like some backhanders to Hunter Biden to stop snorting crack in the White House.
Or at least to do it in a designated room, not in the toilets. Go down to the bunker, Biden. Jesus Christ. Don't stop doing it upstairs in front of the freaking staff.
What I think is from this article, what's actually quite big is they still hold 195,307 Bitcoin is the estimate. So you're talking bordering on 1% of the supply. That's big. That's really big. What I think is absolutely horrendous on this is like you kind of go, okay, it's Silk Road, you can choose to sell it to people using it for drugs, which are illegal. But for the Bitcoin which you hold, it's as well as things like hacks. So it's actually someone's Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's
it's pretty much it's pretty much stolen property because you've stolen it from them.
Yeah.
You haven't given it back to the person. So I imagine it'll take years to go through the legal loopholes for them to be able to sell quite a chunk of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing, isn't it? You remember those two weirdos? Because that's the Bitfinex was that woman that was the weird rapper and the guy. They had 4 billion in Bitcoin, and so that I'd imagine is a big portion of that is that 4 billion that they grabbed from those two. And it's bizarre that they hold that, right? The US government hold that Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and seemingly they've just claimed it. And yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like they're just going to go, well, yeah, we're just going to sell it off. It's just, but
It's
surely
interesting though.
that should just go. That's like anything, right? You've had your TV stolen, you've reported it to the police. The police find it through some coincidence, in a warehouse somewhere or whatever, in someone's house. If you've reported it and they find it, they'll give it you back. They don't just auction it off anyway. So what should be happening here is Bitfinex lost 4 billion in Bitcoin or in crypto, probably. It probably wasn't all Bitcoin. The US government have managed to get it back from the two people that stole it. Why are they still holding it? Why don't they just give that back to Bitfinex and let them return it to their customers?
Yeah.
Why are they still holding it? At least a year.
They weren't given compensation within a year. So those people will still be holding out for their funds. Whereas they could, get everyone back. So digging into that, you said about 4 billion. It's 5.8 billion working on $30,000.
So that's the 195. That's the total.
Yeah, 195 is 5.85 billion working on 30,000 Bitcoins and dollars.
Yeah.
So it is quite close to that figure. But the fact is that that couple, like you said, it would have been a load of shit coins as well. But I think the majority was Bitcoin.
Yeah. So that just shows then, yeah, they've taken about 2 billion from other things and 4 billion from that one hack. That's kind of crazy. They would just.
That money is quite a good amount for Ukraine.
Yeah, they had a Bitcoin address. Imagine if the US government just fired that over to them.
Yeah, so the people will probably
It's interesting though, equally, because surely there's got to be at least one smart brain in that organization that says, this is what, as Trump says, makes America great again, by holding on to this asset.
But if you think if they sell it at the current rate of say 9,000, 10,000, it's another 15 years.
Yeah. The thing is, they always
19 years. So literally, they could just sell chunk by chunk and go, yeah, we're selling this, and they just keep it up. So they got some kind of like exposure to it. And also, if you look at it from a lending point of view, and the fact that people have got to be paid for that hack because they've got it all back, they'll pay them at like whatever the rate was, 20,000 then, whereas potentially they could be selling that Bitcoin for like 100,000.
Yeah.
And also as dollars, which are given most people, are ones which they've just made appear from thin air.
Yeah. I think the US government, they're so confident that they don't need an exposure to Bitcoin, really. I think they'll use this purely as a price suppression mechanism. I think if they think that if Bitcoin ever, when it goes to like $1 million a coin, whatever, they'll just go and steal someone's Bitcoin. This is
Yeah.
they can, they're inventing so many laws right now. I tweeted the other day where Rishi Sunak was starting to talk about how,
You mean Dishy Rishi?
yeah, and he was talking about how they're going to extend like what a terrorist or a radical is in the UK and extend it to people that villainize their country and their government. I suddenly realized, oh, he means me. He's extending time.
Yeah.
Then they're essentially, it's literally they're trying to get towards China, right? Where it's talking out against your government is going to be called villainizing your country, and that'll be you've broken a law. There'd be fines, there'd be prison time, there'd be assets frozen, stolen. So
Yeah.
I just think there's so many ways that governments will they just think that they can just steal the Bitcoin at any point. They'll seize it back, right? They'll just go,
Yeah.
you can't enter here, you can't do this, you can't do that, unless you give us your Bitcoin. They're going to do the whole gold seizure thing. You can hold a certain amount of sats on your own person for day-to-day usage, but the majority have to be held in a bank. Will give you IOUs, and I think that's their long-term plan. I think they want all of it. They don't want 10% like this. They want the full 21 million.
So, when do you reckon they'll bring the terrorism changes that Rishi's proposing?
He seems to say
surprised it's not being passed as we speak right now.
Because I hope you enjoy prison food and penis.
I also think as well, like somehow they will, we've talked about the connection between governments and Coinbase, and I think that will be a definite play of owning or part owning, having some sort of special relationship with exchanges or a certain exchange, and most people won't necessarily know, but that will be the, Coinbase, for example, that will be the government exchange of choice.
The withdrawal just disappear one day.
Yeah, exactly.
And they go, don't worry, it's government backed. There's no risk of hack. Like if this ever gets hacked, we'll put it back.
Yeah.
But then again, it can't get hacked because you can't fucking withdraw it. Safe as fucking houses now, isn't it? That's actually a really good selling point. That is that. I literally figured out their marketing message for them.
Yeah.
Once you can't withdraw, you can't get hacked. Your Bitcoin is literally like cannot move from here. You can't move it. Never mind a hacker. It's government backed. Like the government are going to assure that money is always backed.
Yeah.
1-to-1 with the Bitcoin there. We'll never move. We'll never lend it out again until we do. And but we won't. That was a joke. We will always back it with the Bitcoin that is there. We will not spread one Bitcoin across 10 customers. We would never do that. Never. If say there's 10 Bitcoin for 10 customers, there will be 10 Bitcoin for each customer. And it's just, we know what's going to happen. The second you can't withdraw, you're paying money. They're going, yeah, you have X Bitcoin now. No, you don't. This is the number on the screen. You're going to start buying paper Bitcoin, just as you will in the BlackRock ETF, which is a great way, by the way. And I think that's another one of their great tactics I think they're going to use against us, which will be soaking up loads of the buy demand in ETFs and in exchanges, but not buying the Bitcoin with that collateral. And just lying. Because they're so big, right? If you're US government backed or you're BlackRock, really, if you've got $1 trillion, say, of dollars that have come into the BlackRock ETF to buy Bitcoin, there should be $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin sat behind it. Because that then means we've had the price appreciation to reflect the buy demand. I suspect they will not do that. I suspect they will buy it half, 10%, they'll have some reflection. But what they're going to do is soak up loads of the buy demand, because that's how they price manipulate gold.
Yeah.
A lot of the majority of people that buy gold for investments is they buy ETFs of gold. And for years, it's the one thing I learned from Peter Schiff and all those gold bugs, is that these ETFs are scams. There's these huge ETFs that are run by Vanguard and BlackRock. And they're supposed to, every time a pound comes in or a dollar comes in, they're supposed to buy a pound or a dollar of gold behind, which should pump the price up. They don't. They just create more paper gold on the website. And they've just got infinite supply of this gold ETF. And they don't buy the gold behind. So the price doesn't go up. The price just stays pretty much where it has been for 20 years. And they've gone, that's the biggest problem. Like if you buy the gold physically, it would be okay. The price would go up because you've got ownership of the gold. When you buy this paper gold, they can suppress the price by not buying the gold that they should have brought. And I guess that's going to be one of their tactics that they're going to do in the BlackRock ETF, is just not buy the Bitcoin. All these dollars are going to come flooding in, all from the pension funds and everything else. And a great way to suppress that is just to not buy the Bitcoin. They'll come unstuck if the price goes up by 100x and everyone's looking for their gains.
Well, yeah.
That's going to be when they come unstuck. But I guess they're gambling on, well, it won't go up by 100x because the majority of money is coming into our fund and we're not buying Bitcoin with it. So why is the price going to go up? Because no one's buying. The people that think they're buying aren't buying. We're just creating. We've just created 10 million shares of an ETF, and you can buy them. But if they're all gone, we'll just print another 10 million. Doesn't mean we're buying Bitcoin behind it. We're just creating bollocks on a spreadsheet.
Well, there we have it. Just a side note, I've just seen an exclusive that Barack Obama's personal chef was found dead in Martha's Vineyard Pond. Okay, not great, but there's a striking similarity to the Walter Schleb personal chef to Bill and Hillary Clinton. Just saying, it could be a coincidence.
I was following that. Right, here's one of the tweets, right? Actually, no, it's a tweet from 2 days ago from the chef.
Oh.
This is probably why he drowned mysteriously. My new cookbook will reveal the secret recipe of Michelle Obama's meat and potatoes. Now, I don't know if that's clickbait or whatever, but yeah, it's another person, isn't it? Yeah, the Obama don't be ever work for the Obamas or Clintons, because it's weird when you fall out with them, you seriously die, or just want to talk.
No, when you fall out with them, you just commit suicide because life isn't worth living.
Oh yeah, talking about nice big conspiracy theories.
Oh.
I shoved this one in there, right? It's just bizarre. It's just there. I just thought it was a very, very interesting tweet thread that this guy created. Normally, it's just Twitter's just full of little one lines and a random picture, and you go, and you meant to infer.
It's also how it starts off. Henry Kissinger. What the fuck is Henry Kissinger doing in China? For anyone who doesn't know, he was the not foreign secretary, but for the US in the 1970s. So he's famous for the Vietnam War.
Yeah, so foreign relations secretary between the two countries.
Yeah, so he was the one who stopped Vietnam, and he's also involved in a lot of nasty stuff. So for a 100-year-old to go for China, I was just Secretary of State. That's what it's called.
After with their president, he's just not just gone to China for holiday. He's meeting the president of China.
Might have really, fancied some chicken cashew.
Yeah, he had a meeting behind closed doors. So straight away you go, right. So one of obviously my biggest theories is the US government don't really do shit. They are the puppets. It's these people that are retired politicians and big businessmen that are running the show. and they go and have these conversations behind closed doors, and then
We
the
saw,
politicians come in and
just to
say,
stop here, we had Janet Yellen about 2 weeks ago giving some mega bows to what's his name, Z. Did you see about the video where it's like,
"Oh
and
yeah,
everyone just my God, what are you doing? And he just looked at her like an absolute moron.
yeah," it's just trying to bow, curtsy, just yeah, she's just freaking her freaking AI was playing up.
Whereas this guy, he seems to be, in the gang, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
definitely in the gang.
Well, yeah, and it's just very interesting, isn't it? Where his theory really is that the US is $31.4 trillion in debt. So the US is not scared of China. It's actually scared more of its debt. And he's theorizing that their bonds are going to crash and they just need help from China. And
He's not
obviously,
wrong.
yeah, which is it obviously goes completely against the narrative, right? Which is the main narrative is that America, the West, you just bundle us all in, versus Russia. And at the moment, Russia and China are kind of in partnership. So you just go, well, what are we sending a 100-old ex-politician over there to talk to China for? If this was real, if this was a diplomatic thing, you'd be sending the world leaders, right? You'd be sending our president or our prime minister, the US president.
Biden wouldn't survive the plane journey, would he?
No, that's the hilarious thing. Whereas this 100-old guy that can barely walk, they sent him instead, and you go,
But you kind of think this isn't just a little journey for him. 100-year-old going on that bigger journey. He would be accompanied by like doctors and nurses, a whole like what you call like posse. Like it wouldn't just be him on his own. He would be with some serious people to make sure that he didn't die.
Absolutely. And I'm sure at that age, he's not a frequent flyer either. And so there must be some more, candid reason as to why. I saw that Warren Buffett actually made a trip recently to China, and I was thinking exactly the same. Dude, you're 92.
Well, this is what all feeds into my theory that we pretty much came to the conclusion of probably about a year and a half ago, which is all fucking WWE. So there's different people that go around Russia, China, America, and all just go, what's the playbook for next year? Or next couple of years, what are we going to do? You do this, then we'll do that, and then you do this.
But do you not think, like you're saying that, oh yeah, it's blah blah blah, but don't you think their kind of play will be like, we know that everyone knows that the US is going to shit, so this is handing over the keys to China, so we can continue with our fiat Ponzi, because at the moment it's going to implode. So why not ramp it up? We're going, it's China now. And what does China says? China says CBDCs, terrorist laws for saying bad things against your government. Bam. That's the world democracy now.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever the playbook is, right? They know they need a great reset. They know it's going to shit. So if anything, I think they're planning that China, you need to get involved a little bit. We probably need to fight you for something. So how about you go invade Taiwan at some point? We've already signaled to everyone that if you touch Taiwan, we have to get involved. No one really knows why, but we've already told everyone this stuff. So it's just all this stuff, right? You just go, it's super sus. These meetings, I'm surprised there's even a photo of these guys walking down a corridor, right? Because obviously the meeting is behind closed doors, but the fact there's even a picture of Henry Kissinger with the president surprises me. And if anything, almost makes you think what I'm saying is a load of bollocks. But then if it isn't, if this is completely fine, what do they talk about? Like, what are you sending a 100-old fucking guy that hasn't been in office for 50 years to China for to speak to their president? Like, because this guy is in office. Why? What's this guy saying? He's clearly a very powerful guy. What message did he go to tell him? Like, couldn't it have been a fucking Zoom call?
Will shine your shoes.
But he's a really good guy. He stopped the Vietnam War, sorted out a peace treaty. But and then he also
Conflict between
then he also bombed Cambodia during the Vietnam War. Bit of a misalignment in the maps, maybe. And then was involved in the 1973 Chilean military coup. And then Argentina's military junta for the Dirty War. Support for Pakistan during the Bangladesh Liberation War. Despite the genocide. No, doesn't seem that good anymore.
And anyone that's still liked by the US government when they're 100 is an absolute shit of a human being. Guarantee it. Because you should have fallen out of them by then. They should have asked you to do something that you were like, no. I'm a shit. I'll do anything for money, but I won't do that. Like everyone should get to that point where you go, and he clearly hasn't. He's like, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll kill those 20 million people. 40 million. Yeah, fine, whatever. Fine, bang, bang, bang. And now he's doing meetings with China. No one knows what it's about. But who cares? It's a conspiracy theory to even suggest that this could be what the real game plan is. And the game plan they tell us, it's literally like
fucking hell, it gets even worse. His net worth, what's his net worth? $50 million. Then the next one down on Google is, how did Henry Kissinger make us money? So if you've read or listened to me witter on about what's it called? The consulting book, I'm trying to think what the hell it was called. The one about the IMF and so on. After leaving government, he formed Kissinger Associates, an international geopolitical consulting firm, which basically means where they start blackmailing countries.
Yeah.
About their oil, their resources, whatever else they can get into, and getting people to sign on the dotted line to send their country into debt. So yeah, it's literally like not only was he he was not content with the bombings of Cambodians during his tenure in the US government, he decides to go into becoming an economic hitman.
Yeah, and 50 million, what a load of bollocks.
I know, I was thinking that number's way too low given his age and his reputation in the marketplace and what he's actually been doing. Yeah. Obviously, it's nothing to be sniffed at, 50 million.
Yeah, but he's not like, what's her name, Nancy Pelosi. His money isn't on show. This is one of the old boys. Like, when they come up with the richest people in the world, they say people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, but I really doubt that's ever true.
Yeah,
there'll be people like him and his little mates who are hidden behind the scenes who have the money.
Man, he's getting like a private escort that probably cost 10 million just to get him. So to say he's worth 50 is just, it's like when I just googled the BlackRock net market cap again. To say that's worth 100 billion is just laughable. They have 10 trillion under management.
Yeah.
I know that's not their money, but to say they're only worth 100 billion it's clearly cover, right? It's to go, when you search for the most expensive companies in the world, they don't come up. They're in there, but they're not number one by miles. Whereas, and it's the same with Henry Kissinger, they want these people just to kind of disappear into the background a little bit. Because if you just go, they're worth 50 million, then most will go, well, that's nothing. So who cares about him? He can't be that important. He's not winning the world. He'd be worth billions if he was winning the world. You go, well, yeah, he probably is worth billions. They just, Google says he's worth 50 million. So that's the answer you got to walk
away with. Next story, why 21 million Bitcoin and 210,000 block carvings have any association with one another. So
it just seemed like a percentage point to me. Like, I'm kind of like, isn't this just making it neat and tidy? Like, I read it and just went, is this really a point? Is so, maybe I missed the point on this one, but I just went, isn't it just because it's 1%?
Yeah,
Well,
I,
no,
I was going to ask as well. I haven't yet got to the answer, but given that everyone the background of the story, we are close to approaching block 800,000. And the question is begged, why did Satoshi choose halvings every 210,000 blocks? Now, we are not at, or near 210, we're near to the 800,000 in terms of the halving, but ultimately, why not make them more frequent to help a little more birds and around them? And also just go with 100,000 blocks because that's quite easy to remember. It suits the human mind, but it's said that that's arbitrary because ultimately there is a reason. Why every 210?
yeah, because I think the main question really is like, why 21 million Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Like, why not 25? Why not 20? And someone posts, I mean, ultimately, no one will ever know, right? Only Satoshi himself. All we can do is theorize. But I think the smartest answer in the list here is, I think, assume that the 10-minute block was chosen first.
Is it not just the maths that it works by, and Bitcoin being divisible up to 9 decimal places?
Well, yeah, that could be true still for 20 million Bitcoin, 25, 50 million, 100 million. Yeah, why 21? 21 million is a random number at the face of it, right? And obviously then, because he's picked 21 million Bitcoin, then things tend to divide into 210,000s and everything kind of folds back into the 21. You go, well, why 21 though? You could have had the same effect with 25 or 30, 40, 50. And I think the smartest answer here is that if you start with the 10-minute block time, and the theory is that Satoshi also knew that he wanted 4-year cycles. So if you do 10-minute blocks and you want and you work that out over how many 10 minutes are over a 4-year period, because he pretty much figured out that a 4-year cycle until a halving it matches the financial markets as well. The maths fitted. Basically, you get 210,000 blocks of 10 minutes during a 4-year period. So that's where it seems he went, all right, that's where maybe the 210,000 came first. And then he went, okay, well, how much Bitcoin should I have? Well, for every halving is this. I want essentially 100 halvings until the Bitcoin is out. So now suddenly you get 21 million. So maybe that is it. But it could well be Satoshi just like the number 21. He might like playing blackjack, which is 21.
Yeah. It's also reading through, they keep on saying, was it the meaning of life from a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy divided by 2, which is 42.
Yeah, well, that's a bit random, isn't it? Because he made it 42 million if that was it.
Yeah, and then the bit which you read about the 10-minute block, then there's one which is a bit of a different angle map, which he worked backwards, so 1 sat for each block. On the final epoch, 2 sats a block of a second to last epoch, and so on. And then worked his way back there. And it gets you to, 20.9 million Bitcoins. So it's just, there's different theories, but there's no actual definitive, is there?
No, and there never will be, unless Satoshi comes back and actually tells us everything's theory. But it's always interesting, I think, because people have asked me numerous times why 21 million, and ultimately I think it's largely because the timing and the maths and everything divides down really neatly from 21 down.
It does.
Everything's nice and neat. So and ultimately it doesn't really matter. It's what we needed is a 100-year distribution of that coin. And whether it was 10 million, 5 million, 100 million, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You just need scarcity in the supply, and then 100 years where that supply is given out via the block rewards. So it doesn't really matter, but it's always going to be. This is the problem with Bitcoin when Satoshi's now disappeared, and who knows? Maybe if one day one of the OGs might come out and go, you chatted to Satoshi. Did you ever ask him why 21? Why 21 million? And did he give you an answer? Because unless someone did, because obviously he was around for the first couple of years of Bitcoin. So I'm sure someone challenged him and went, it would be better if it was 25
It's a combination, isn't it, though? It's a combination of the actual number and then the time frame. I'm just thinking about it. And, even thinking, well, whoever is alive right now, in the end, when all the blocks are out and completed, won't be in a position. Henry Kissinger, he's lived to see 100. Okay, fair enough, but there won't be many people that are around smart enough that will be able to get that and see it for their own eyes.
Yeah, I thought
it's a chunk of the way.
Yeah, it's just an interesting debating point, I think, because I think all of us will get asked that question by some person you're trying to orange pill. So it is worthwhile just having considered it and go, it seems to fit the timing. You do 10 minutes, all the 10 minutes it add up over 4 years. You get 210,000 of them. And he wanted to have 100 halvings. So that adds to 21 million. That seems to fit. That seems about right. And it looks like he wanted a 10-minute block, roughly. And that is something that the Bitcoin blockchain is really hard-coded to do. With the difficulty adjustment, more miners come in and blocks get mined faster. Difficulty goes up, so it goes back to 10 minutes. Miners disappear, it goes to 15 minutes. The difficulty goes down, so it goes back to 10 minutes. He really wants a 10-minute block. And the Bitcoin blockchain is constantly adjusting to make sure it is 10 minutes as the mining hash power goes up and down. So he seems really sure on that one. But even still, it's 210,000. He could have easily just gone, well, it's close enough to 200. So it's 20 million Bitcoin. But it's Satoshi, man. He's a fucking genius. And trying to reverse engineer his thinking isn't next to impossible. I'm way too much of a pea brain to even start. So I won't even try.
I mean, it's funny you say that as well. And I think I've said it many a time on previous pods as well. Why do I even bother trying to argue? Well, I'm not trying to argue against it. I'm really trying to understand Bitcoin. But many of people much smarter than you or I have already got to the point where they're like, yeah, Bitcoin's safe. Let's go in on this.
Yeah, we still got to not trust verify, but it's fucking hard to verify everything, isn't it? And this is one thing.
It's hard to verify everything, and then
do you want to verify 21 million is the perfect number? Okay, why? I don't know. I don't know really. I've got some theories, but it could have been 22, it could have been 20, could have been 50. You could have done 5-minute blocks. You could have done 1-minute blocks. I don't know. I don't really know. And the only person that does know has disappeared for the last decade. So
yeah, and who else were the early developers? It's like Hal Finney, but obviously died.
Adam Back. We got Adam Back, Peter Todd. They all spoke to Satoshi, and they're still
they're still about. But when we spoke to Satoshi, it was via forums, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So literally, all these questions are recorded. And it doesn't seem like they asked the 21 million question, did they?
I don't think so. Well, some of it is in emails and some of it is in private chats as well. They did DM.
Okay.
So yeah.
Maybe that's a viewer's quiz question and request. Find out why 21 million and let us know. We're all here hoping to learn and then share and spread the word amongst us all. We don't have all the answers, so I'd love to understand that.
Maybe Satoshi's listening right now.
Please let us know. Get in touch, Satoshi.
Just imagine
Satoshi
that one extra viewer was Satoshi.
Yeah.
Is Satoshi Miss No Show?
Oh, don't be silly.
I've never seen him in the same room.
Yeah, but
exactly.
Well, Satoshi better, or Mrs. No Show better like, share, and subscribe to the pod. Let's move on to the next story.
I think it's a
Which
new,
is
new end of a pod, isn't it?
What do you mean? Well, it's just a lol one. The only reason why there's even a hint of this, it's still this just goes back 2 years, right? Where it's just and Dylan Leclerc it just says it's still the funniest post of all time. And who knows who this shitcoiner is, but she's some NFT redact. And she just says, if you make an NFT of a real diamond and the diamond itself gets destroyed in a fire tomorrow, lol, diamonds don't get destroyed in fires, but anyway, you still have the same asset because the token still exists and is in limited supply just as before. Nothing has changed. What NFT is doing to the concept of the asset, few understand. There's this like everything wrong with that, right? So diamonds don't go in fires. Well, diamonds don't just get destroyed in fires. Diamonds themselves aren't even
How
rare.
dare you go against Tasha Labs?
She's rarefied. And she's got an NFT for a profile picture.
Yeah.
Everything is just epically wrong about that
NFT emoji.
And look, like my quote would be this: in retrospect, it was never. Whereas it's not even in retrospect. I said it was a fucking redacted thing to do then, and it's just nice to go 2 years later. Is your NFT of a diamond worth more than the diamond still? Is it? And it's going to be worth even more if the diamond is destroyed. If I crunch that diamond up into fucking dust, your NFT of the diamond is still worth more? What? I think the good thing is over the last 2 years, NFTs have been well and truly stamped into the ground. So
I need to ask a question in one of my groups about what we think about NFTs now. But someone owned it in my group but never opened up after I hammered my mate and me in my group. So someone had an NFT. I know some of them had Dogecoin as well because of Elon. So, but I don't think they'll ever admit to me that they own an NFT after I hammered Pete so much.
Yeah, I this little story for me is, you know, the meme where you've got someone drowning and they got their hand stuck out the water.
Yeah,
you put their hand towards them. You just high five them instead and just let them drown. Yeah. That's me with NFTs tonight. As I say, it's the final little high five is they just sink below the surface. Like, see you later.
You're saying, Mr. Rollin, that NFTs will never make a comeback.
In this iteration, no. Stupidity knows no bounds. So they may repackage it in some kind of bollocks, but it will never be a thing. It might have another bull run in some shape or form. That's the problem. Like, again, the dumb money just needs a couple of years to build up again. They'll plow into something, but
they'll have a bull run to be worth 10 pence as a receipt. It's literally, like I said, it's got literally a really poor use case and it is not worth any money. It's literally a complement to an actual asset which you buy, which is a receipt, pretty much. And that's all it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, they've deleted the next video off fucking Reddit.
Yeah, I did see it on Twitter at some point, but I couldn't figure out how to find it. When I went to view it, I had the same, but we'd already covered this at the start, so I think you'll just have to.
No, I've got it. It's showing on mine. It's saying, sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators, but the video's still there.
It's not on mine. They might have literally taken. I found it on Twitter anyway, so I can still get it. Anyway, I'll play the video.
24 hours with me and I couldn't say no, what would we do?
Okay, so first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna read this book front to back. It's gonna take you about 10 hours or so, and then you're gonna read the Bitcoin white paper. It's a little technical, but it's only really about 9 pages. And then you're gonna call up your bank, sell all your stupid stocks and bonds, and get some cash ready. You're gonna order one of these devices with express delivery, and then you're gonna go watch this guy's tutorials from front to back. And once you're done writing down 24 words, you're gonna go to your kitchen pantry, dump out all your seed oils down the drain, replace it with beef tallow or something that's not gonna kill you from the inside. And then you're gonna purchase some Bitcoin with one of these services, take it into self-custody immediately, and then you're gonna go book a flight to El Salvador, load up some podcasts, listen to on the flight there. Once you arrive, Max and Stacy are gonna pick you up in a van, and then you're finally going to... FBI, open up!
So, yeah, it's a funny way to end the pod, right? I don't know how many times you've seen this bullshit, like all the thoughts on Twitter and stuff go, if you had 24 hours with me, what would you do? And they just put it out there as a question, and all the simps are below them like, ask you for a BJ. So fucking creative, So it's a nice little twist on it. Where
I would first of all ask whether this is for free. Would it be free labor?
Yeah, of course. You got to use. Yeah.
So housework. I've got a house which needs to be looked after. I'm a very busy person. I work. I look after kids. So weeding, painting,
How's that
all
gonna
the chores around my house.
Is it just manual labor that you could get for $100?
But I could have it for free off her.
Where you're wasting, you could be orange pilling someone. They can't say no. They have to say yes to everything you say.
Well, okay. She can read the Bitcoin standard within 3 hours. 21 hours of manual labor.
How's she going to get a hardware wallet set up, sell all her stocks and shares, move it to an exchange, buy a ticket to El Salvador, meet Max and Stacy, and then start living on a Bitcoin standard? That's a lot to do in 24 hours, to be fair.
That's a lot to do in 24
Well, she can worry
hours.
about
Yeah.
she can worry about getting that flight and everything after.
Well, the flight alone is
I've
about
got-
12 hours at the time. So you've
Yeah,
only got
I know.
12 hours left.
I was going to say, well, she can go after she's read the Bitcoin standard. Those 21 hours I want for hard manual labor.
What you could actually do, you could book the flight first, and then she can read that on the flight and set up a hardware wallet on the flight. She's really going to have to do a lot on that flight. And when she arrives, yeah.
So I only get 12
I've
hours
changed
of
the order
manual
around.
labor.
I think there's a lot of dead time in the flight. I've just realised.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead time in that flight from the UK to El Salvador.
But I always like those memes. By the way, talking about these weird memes, have you seen the worst trend in the world, which is these NPC girls acting literally like NPCs in computer games, like licking ice creams and going more, and doing all that?
No.
Oh man, you've been
I
missing
thought you were
out.
going to say there's a new, what is it, Thai challenge where they're eating dishwasher tablets.
No, it's bizarre. It's the new kind of OnlyFans thing where you can like text in just like certain images, and then if you do like an ice cream, she'll lick the ice cream. It's bizarre, and they act like not human beings. They act like robots. And it's all over Twitter at the moment, all this NPC stuff. And apparently they're making like thousands of dollars a day. And
Yeah, the rise of fashion NPCs. Wow.
it is the weirdest thing. You know when you get characters to do stuff, right? In like Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah.
you go up to an NPC and you press X on them or whatever. They'll just do a certain thing, won't they, every time? They'll just move a certain way, depending on whether it's the stripper, a police officer, a normal person walking their dog. They'll always do the same 3 or 4 actions because that's the only ones they got programmed in.
Yeah.
That's what they've started doing that on TikTok and stuff. And the most bizarre thing, and I saw a tweet today where they just went like dystopian boomers, and there's a load of like old people just sat there clicking slot machines, and they're just just smashing it. And then you got dystopian zoomers, and there's just a girl doing like this weird like licking ice creams and going, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh ha ha ha. Oh,
Me ready, it's time. Hee haw, yes. You got me feeling like a cowgirl. Let me ready, it's time. Oh, take you, baby. You got me feeling like a queen, huh? Ice cream so good, slay, huh? Hee haw, yes, you got me feeling like a cowgirl. Let me write it, huh? Gang, 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 gang. Hee haw, yes, you got me feeling like a cowgirl. Let me write it, huh? I love to feel like a cowgirl.
All this weird stuff, and you go, "Oh wow!" It's just like, what is going on with our world? You know, it's just we need to get onto a fucking Bitcoin standard and quick. We need to get back to good old-fashioned family values.
What would you do with all these people who are probably too far gone? Could you just leave them somewhere on a continent?
Yeah, Australia's normally a good dumping point.
But yeah, the Dr. Evil 10%. In your world of a Bitcoin standard, what would you like to see more from people?
I suppose it'd just be effort. I suppose effort probably rounds it. It's just actually taking effort with yourself. So once again, it's that exercising, eating, not eating crap. But I suppose it falls into time preference as well. And then also the innovation. So I think it all kind of falls into the Bitcoin standard, but you start looking and saving, you start thinking how you can better yourself. So the kind of proofs in the pudding in the past, and that on gold standards, it's when you've seen the kind of like Renaissance periods as well, where you've had the biggest leaps in innovation, because the argument is since the 70s, there's not really been any real innovation. It's actually, oh, we've got flat screen TVs. Yeah, but they invented the TV decades before. Oh, we got these cars, but the car was invented ages before. We got planes, they were invented ages before. And it's all kind of like there's been no real true innovation apart from, I suppose, the internet, but the protocol was built in the 60s.
Yeah.
So literally, you're kind of hoping that going to a Bitcoin standard, you'd see a lot more of innovation, effort, I suppose, with family as well. And I know that Mr. Orwin was joking a little bit, but family values.
I wasn't joking. Yeah. If any, the only reason I said it in a weird way was to quote from American Psycho, where he is joking, but I'm actually not.
Yeah. So I can't think of a better word than effort, but it's just that kind of like effort to actually do things right.
What would you hope to see? So never look.
I'm trying to think about it. Yeah, in a Bitcoin standard, I guess waking people up in terms of what is actually going on. And I mean, we expose a lot of the lies that are out there. And I think certainly from reading the Bitcoin standard, and I was talking to somebody today, and we always say this, even if you were just to read the first 100 pages and then of the Bitcoin standard book, you can't unsee and understand what you've then read.
Yeah, because that's the history of money, isn't it? You don't.
Yeah.
He hasn't even mentioned Bitcoin yet.
Correct.
All you learn is from barter to fiat, and how we got there.
It was literally about 50 pages in. That's when I started buying Bitcoin, because I think you'd witted on about all the Bitcoin bits. But I didn't really understand the use case, I suppose. So like reading that history of money, I was just like, oh shit, I get it.
And I think that for me would be epic, because that alone would then make people continue to question everything else, because it's something that we just take for granted. And I think I've said it many a time as well. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I was asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, because that's the thing as well. Like this whole government control thing, it is a belief system. It's the same as money. If we all just choose not to believe in them, and none of us pay our taxes anymore, none of us obey the laws that they set out, they can't arrest us all. They're even using us as the police.
Yeah.
So if the police realize they literally, there's only about 10 of them really. Like there's probably about 1,000 people controlling 8 billion. So it's a complete belief in the fact that they have power. So if the world genuinely wakes up and realizes look, this inflation system, all these taxes, you're not getting value for money. So we're just going to reject your offering and move to a better offering, which is Bitcoin. So I'm no longer going to pay tax, and I'm no longer going to use your money that you can inflate away. I'm moving to this other option. Literally everything is fixed. Like we literally, oh, Bitcoin fixes this meme is just so true. It's just all their power just disappears overnight. It's just, but getting that that button click to go in everyone's brain at the same time is just nearly impossible. And people just, like Morpheus says in the Matrix, some people are so comfortable they don't want to accept that their life is a lie, and they will do everything to stay in it. Not only will they not understand the lie, they will fight you to stop you telling them.
Well, we simp for it, don't we? You see it on Twitter. Well, it's hard to know whether it's actually a person, but they'll be arguing, say, a Bitcoiner, and they'll be saying the government lying, and it's just like,
are you a bot, or is that what you genuinely think?
Yeah,
I think people do generally think that or want to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you see it with, it's why like Deborah Meaden was triggering me. Like the first thing I noticed was she had the Ukraine flag in her fucking title. You just go, what's that doing there, Debs? And then she's tweeting about the climate crisis. You're like, right, that's two things. So I've got a fucking reply now. And it's
interesting you mentioned the Ukrainian flag. There's some new builds near to where I live, and it's a private new build, but they've got a flagpole with the Ukrainian flag just up there. No UK flag, just Ukrainian flag. And every day I go past it as I'm driving, I'm thinking, what are you guys symbolizing? What are you doing by doing so? Again,
it's just virtue signaling.
Yeah.
The husband probably gets cooked.
I'd love. This is the time where I'd actually love to be back in a high traffic area, because I can't troll people by hanging around random flags. Like, I would be hanging out a Russian flag today, shove out like a Netherlands flag tomorrow, like, and switch them around. So everyone's like, he's flying a fucking Russian flag, and then I'm like, no, it's not, it's Netherlands. But it was the Russian one yesterday. It's like, no, it wasn't. You must have misread it. And then switch it back to the Russian one. And like, just be like switching them out every week and just triggering the neighbours. Every time the police come around, switch it to Netherlands. Well, I just love the Netherlands, mate. Are you supporting Russia? I'm like, is actually supporting Russia literally a criminal offence anyway? Maybe I've got a Russian uncle. You don't fucking know.
In this day and age, you've now been brought up and conditioned to not like Russia and Russians.
And
I was going to say, that's been going on for donkey's years, though. There's about a 5-year break or 10-year break, and we're back to it.
Yeah. It's literally, what's everyone's favourite computer game? Like GoldenEye. He was the enemy in that. Russians.
Yeah, Rocky 1 to whatever. It's the Russians.
The Russians, the Germans.
And literally any Tom Clancy thing, Russians. And then half of James Bond, Russians.
Yeah, and the other half, Germans.
And they even tried Chinese as well. Remember the guy with all of the things in his face?
Oh, odd job.
Yeah, that's when China was starting to come up. They put that bit of propaganda out there, didn't they?
Yeah. Cool. Right. Well, we are the enemy and we are the villains of YouTube and any other streaming platform. But we are also the 4Bs. And the 4Bs are Mr. All In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and surprise, surprise, she wasn't here, Mrs. No Show, aka No Show. This has been Pod 106, still unsponsored, still ready to be cancelled. Peace.
Laters.
Yes, boys.